Final day here in Amsterdam on my Eurobike 2018, well, I guess not world tour, European tour. We're here and we've just done a 30-kilometer loop out here in the sunshine. Beautiful day, but I haven't talked about my bike yet. If you remember my last trip over to Bormio in the Stelvio, I did a bike review of the loaner bike slash hire bike that I had. It wasn't that favorable because that bike really wasn't that suited for what I was doing. However, this is a different story. What we've got here is the Isaac Mason from Cormantle here in Amsterdam have set me up with a solid race bike this year for my 10 days or so. So I thought I'd just go over the bike top to bottom to show you guys what I've been riding and a few of the pluses, a few of the minuses, and a few of the little tricks that I picked up for next time, which is always the way. So top to bottom, full carbon frame, 54 centimeter, which is close enough to my geometry for my race bikes. I always know my saddle height whenever I travel, but that does depend on the saddle that you've got. I run a short stubby, you've seen the Stealth saddles that I run, or the Power saddles. They're not a traditional saddle. So when I set this up in the shop with the right geometry, it just wasn't quite there yet. So I had to push the saddle forward a little bit to get my sit bones back because again, this is more of a traditional saddle. No cutout. It hasn't been too bad. We haven't done any long rides over 3 hours, but I probably would have bought my own saddle next time because it's one of those things that you really get used to over weeks or months. So this saddle hasn't been too bad, got the job done, but next time I think I'll travel with my saddle. Other than that, 10-speed group set, so not the latest and greatest. So we have an Ultegra, I think it's a 6700 Dura-Ace front derailleur. We have an Ultegra rear derailleur, FSA crankset. The crankset is my size, it has come in handy, 172.5s. Going to a 175 or a 170, you can feel it after about an hour or so if that's not what you ride. Pedals. These are Ray's Assioma Duos, which were compatible with the cleats that I have on my shoes. Gearing wise, I actually haven't even looked, to be honest. That's how much it really doesn't matter for the riding that we've been doing. We've just been jumping on it, riding up a hill or riding down a hill, and I've just realized it's a compact crank. Didn't even realize. So 50-34, and on the back it would have been a 25-12 or 25-11, which has been absolutely fine. The wheels themselves, 50mm, probably not suitable for epic mountain climbs that we have been doing. Nice on the descents, nice on the flat roads here, not so good in the wind either, but they got the job done. The one thing I would have done though prior to this, if these had been my wheels, is pack the free hub full of grease because this has been scaring little children. Very, very noisy, but it's also acted as a bit of a bell or a warning sign here on the paths, zooming past some people. The other thing is the brakes themselves. These are, well, first of all, in Australia we ride and drive on the left-hand side, and due to law and a misinterpreted standards policy, our brakes are actually backwards. So here the brakes are technically the right way around, which is opposite for me. It's not one of those things you can change straight away in the shop. It's not a saddle height thing, it's not a bar forward and up. It is what it is. So I've had to adjust to the other side brakes. I'm still here. We've only got about 2 kilometers to get home. I'm still alive, so it's not too bad adjusting to that. Brakes themselves. Look, to be honest, this is one part I won't tee off on. I'll just say I'm not a fan. First of all, the aero brakes are the Tektro brakes under the backside here. And whilst there's a fair bit of force in that, they're quite difficult to adjust. But they have done their job, but it's just not something really that's required on a road bike. Maybe a time trial bike, but for a road bike where you want some really bitey power. And on the back as well, you got the dual pivots. These haven't been too bad. The only issue that I've had, again, not to tee off, but just something I don't like, to try and loosen these up to take your rear wheel out. We couldn't actually figure it out. You have to push these in and pop that back. Again, I can't even show you how to do it. We actually resorted to taking or letting the tyre down to take the rear wheel off. So not optimal, but we got the job done. Now over to the head tube, which you may have seen sticking up like a bit of an antenna here. Now, Raul Lucia from Lucia Tech is probably cringing at this, and I would cringe at this as well. Reason being is when you put your stem on and tighten it down, if there's no compression plug down that far, you can crush the carbon steerer. It's really not a good thing. So I'm hoping what they have here on this bike is a plug down that far that when you actually tighten the stem up, it's not crushing things in. Whether it's there or not, I don't know. I hope so. But typically, if this is a bike that you'd be riding yourself, your own bike, or have for a fairly long time, get the hacksaw out, chop that off, or have someone do it for you, and make sure this is done properly, or you end up compromising the strength of your actual steerer tube itself. But for rental, it is quite common to see this uncut and to have that plug tube a little further down. But just something to note, if it's your bike and you'll be riding it like this for a long time, get that professionally trimmed off and away you go. Bar width, I love a good 36cm bars because, again, most of my riding was done on a time trial bike like this, so 36 bars were good. 38's not too bad. I think these were out to about 42. Again, for the riding we're doing, not too bad. That's probably the only fit thing that got me this week, was the 3 hours after the Stelvio, just up here in the shoulders, sort of just not quite having that dial in perfectly. So again, this bike has gotten us through a couple of 100 Ks, and it's been quite good. Also, another thing I travel with is a saddlebag. That's my saddlebag with a tube, some levers, some patches, and a CO2 canister on there, just in case I get myself into a bit of a flat trouble, which could possibly happen here with all the spikes we have on the Blackberries. One last thing, the tyres, GP4000s, which I'm familiar with. They were fine. I inspected them before the ride as well, just to make sure there was no cuts and nicks in them, because we were descending for quite some time and heating those tyres right up. But it's been quite good. I'd give it about an 8 out of 10, so that's a lot better than the bike I had in Bormio. So again, thanks to the guys at Coromantel for the loan of this one. It's been quite fast, and if I'm back in town next time, I've got my name on this one with my saddle. Let us know your comments on any experience you've had with a hire bike and any tips you can share. Thanks for watching.